America, we're totally different. We take a little bit from everywhere and we try to make it our own. But it's different when you're moving your hips in certain areas, certain dances, than when you're bent over doing TikToks with your popping out, twerking. That's a whole different.
No. Marcus made valid points. What I was gonna ask is, where would you say? Because Pearl did too, so I don't want to overshadow that at all. I think you articulated it great. I would ask, what would be the stage? Because like I respect Marcus' position on the community and protecting our image, especially when it comes to people trying to crucify it, you know, in the worst of ways. But I would say, where's our stage? Mainly because when I think about let's say maybe a Greek woman or a Spanish woman or a Middle Eastern woman, and she is acting in a manner of showcasing a dance, it typically belongs somewhere. Like, I don't typically see that happen in the middle of Target or anywhere like that. So where would you say our stage is, Mark?
A dirt road with no shoes.
Right. So I think that yeah. So the point about inappropriate behavior, I can't negate that some things are inappropriate, right? That's really not my point. So I'm not arguing to allow people to be able to twerk in Target. They should not be in Target twerking and doing all of that shit. My point is more so we're isolating the twerking in Target, but really the conversation is encompassing of the women in general. It's not just that one woman you saw twerking at Target. It's just encompassing. When you see this group of women, this is how a general group of people who do what I'm accusing tend to just hyper isolate Black American women and do this. They put them in this ball, and then it's just accusatory tone, accusatory comment consistently, right? And then they'll excuse anything else. Like I think they made the example like obviously I didn't agree with the Meg Thee Stallion stuff, right? But if we'll say a woman who from another culture was just dating, who may have slept with the same amount of men, she a bad example. But I'm saying a woman that was sleeping with multiple. That's why I was trying to get to the spectrum conversation. Because if we're gonna say that Meg Thee Stallion is the biggest whore or whatever, maybe due to the timeline and the way she did and the line and all that stuff, okay, I got you. But remove her from it and just use maybe a woman that slept with 20 men. And then look at maybe a white woman that slept with 20 men in college. We don't approach them and talk shit about them the same way, is what I'm saying. We don't try and beat those women down the way we try. That I don't engage in this shit, but the way people try and beat Black American women specifically down. Like, it's other coaches that have whole like for fertility. I just seen something about like Ikene, a great festival in Nigeria going on. Is we just gonna say, oh, it's just the cultural stuff they got going on, so we just need to leave that alone? And if somebody do that shit in America, they the only ones to be held hostage and held accountable to that. That's my point. I'm sick of people coming up and just constantly trying to pick at us for whatever reason, especially because we don't be thinking about their ass. And they got other shit going on within their little community, but they somehow find it to come point the finger. And it's not a collaborative. I just think, it's always framed as a way to try and get a notch off. And I be peeping that slick shit. And I'm not for none of it. And I'm full crash out when it comes to that shit. As y'all already fucking know. Like, that's
and I'm in agreement with
Go ahead, Sharon.
I'm in agreement with Marcus on that. So yeah, so we try to act like those fertility dances are in some kind of church or something like that. No, that's not they version of Target. They Target is a goddamn dirt road with trees. It's a supermarket that they drive by. It's a dirt road, and they put goddamn fruits in the goddamn. They doing it in the same exact context. It's just that they're not as, with the fertility dancer, just to be hyperbolic in that. It's just they not as a civilized place wherever that dancing is done at. To act as if twerking for fertility is not hypersexual. That's literally a dance to show some man, not her man, is to show a man that she got the hips to provide sexuality. So she is, she could please him in the bedroom, because her shaking her hips had nothing to do with fertility whatsoever. A woman that cannot shake her hips can still be just as fertile as the one that. So it's just not fair.
Can I just interject with that, because I think it's hard for us to be even to look at that, because we live in America. It's completely different. There are certain, we have, like you, I think Marcus said something about in France, you know, women out there with their shirts off. Like even in certain countries, you got women walking around breastfeeding kids out in the public, because that's culturally, like, that's been been instilled in them. So we have to honestly, like, take that into consideration. Like, America, we're totally different. We take a little bit from everywhere and we try to make it our own. But it's different when you're moving your hips in certain areas, certain dances, than when you're bent over doing TikToks with your pussy lips popping out, twerking. That's a whole different ballgame.
It's not even the dance. And I'll say this part, at least my perspective.
Interjection. Can I get back to it, or?
Oh, go for it.
She asked me to interject, and I
Sorry, I appreciate it. Sorry.
The issue with that is that we try to act as if their vagina is not being on display when they doing the same exact dance moves for the same exact reason, to show some man that they can have sex. It doesn't actually explain that they are more fertile than the other woman because you can move your hips. So it is still hypersexuality. If you have an issue with hypersexuality and ass shaking, it should be all across the board, because it doesn't matter where hoe is, right? We disagree with a woman being a hoe across the board. We don't change our idea of what a hoe is just because we went to Europe. So you can't have a different idea of what showing your vagina is to a random man to have sex. Now, all of a sudden, well, that ain't hypersexual. That's just her culture. No. Absolutely not. I'm with Marcus. Stop trying to make us the only ones that are the bad ones.
My problem with what you said.
Leave in 10 minutes, goddammit. Shit.
My problem with what you said, Sharon, and I think this is where we gotta really hold men accountable for what we say, because I don't think a lot of people are smart enough to decipher what we're saying. I get it, but we are known too much for the hypersexualization and the misappropriation of things that are supposed to be culture and maybe not received negatively. When you think about a Hawaiian woman, you don't typically think about her huluing, or shaking her hips in a grass skirt. That's not typically what I believe most people would think. I'm assuming.
I don't know about that one.
You're saying that when you think about a Hawaiian woman, the first thing that populates in your mind is her at a luau?
A luau, maybe?
That maybe. My point is that typically when we go to culture, we're gonna involve other cultures. We got to be honest. When you think about your Asian women's, your white women's, and different cultural people, the representation of what they have typically has other components. It's not just sexual. When we talk about us, for whatever freaking reason, we are very much known for the sexual stuff, whether it's the women's working, whether it's the men, showcasing certain aspects. That's, in my opinion, is the issue. We want to tackle our image and we want to maybe polish it. If you want to be received as respectable and all of those things, don't try to water it down and be like, oh, well, other people do it too. Other people do a whole lot of stuff. I think we're known too much for the bad stuff in that aspect. That's my only issue with that, is that we need to have more balance.
So true. To your point, I would agree as far as the perception of image that's spewed to the masses, right, globally, could be extremely negative in that way. Again, that's not when I'm saying that's white supremacy, that's what I mean. If they're in control of what their targeted push is, that's not us saying, hey, y'all, look at these 5 women shaking their ass all day. That's not me, you, and Sharon. That's a conglomerate, a corporation that's not run by me doing that shit or you doing that shit. So again, that falls back to the global narrative, a global control of that shit. And when you was talking about, like, so if I'm gonna give you a scenario, right, and you tell me which culture this is and why we don't think of this if you don't get it. A group of men create a club where they grape women. They start fake sending pictures to the girls under 16 that they're boys in their class or boys their age. Those girls exchange nudes with them. Then the men trick them and tell them, hey, we're not actually this guy, and we're going to expose your nudes if you don't allow grown men to come and sleep with you. And in order to get into this group, the men have to either send pictures of their wives or their young daughters in order to get access to the group. And it's over 150,000 men in the group. What culture is that?
I would say that